Repeat after me. Margaret Beaufort did not murder the princes in the Tower. And if you're a lover of all things history, then don't forget to hit the follow. Let's look at the life of Lady Margaret Beaufort. Margaret was born on the 31st of May, 1443. She was the only child and heir of John Beaufort, 1st Duke of Somerset, and his wife, Margaret Beauchamp. Margaret's father died, most likely from suicide, shortly before her first birthday. Since Margaret was a girl, she didn't inherit any of her father's titles, however she did inherit his lands, which made her a very wealthy heiress. Wealth, along with her very dubious claim to the English throne, made her a very valuable pawn on the marriage market. Though she never recognised the validity of this marriage, between the age of 1 and 3, Margaret was married off to John de la Pole, the future 2nd Duke of Suffolk. However, John's father fell from power and was assassinated, and so the marriage was annulled. Margaret's second marriage took place when she was 12 years old on the 1st of November 1455. This time she was married off to Edmund Tudor, Earl of Richmond, who was a half-brother of King Henry VI. At the time, Henry VI was childless, so it is possible that Henry was using this marriage to set his brother up as his heir. Despite the fact that Margaret was only 12 years old, Edmund wasted no time in consummating the marriage. Edmund would die almost exactly a year later of the plague in captivity at Carmarthen Castle, leaving behind a very pregnant 13-year-old Margaret. On the 29th of January 1457, Margaret would give birth to her only child, future King Henry VII. Birth is believed to have been so traumatic that it left Margaret unable to have any further children. Through her next marriage, Margaret took control of her own fate. Just the age of 14, Margaret married again for the 3rd time, this time to Sir Henry Stafford, a son of the Duke of Buckingham. The Yorkists came to power in 1461. The lordship of Margaret's son was granted to William Herbert, 1st Earl of Pembroke. Mother and son were briefly reunited during the readaptation of Henry VI. However, following the Yorkist victory at the Battle of Barnet in 1471, sent her son into exile along with his uncle Jasper Tudor. Following the death of Henry Stafford in 1472, Margaret sought to ingratiate herself with the Yorkist regime, marrying Thomas Stanley, the future 1st Earl of Derby. Margaret soon found favour with the Yorkists, being appointed the godmother of one of Elizabeth Woodville's daughters and carrying the train of Anne Neville at her coronation. But Margaret's life mission was to bring her son home. And following the deposition and likely murder of King Edward V at the hands of his uncle King Richard III, Margaret saw an opportunity for her son to become King of England. First attempt to overthrow Richard, Buckingham's rebellion, failed in 1483. However, the second attempt in 1485 was successful. Richard was killed at the Battle of Bosworth, and Henry VII became King of England. Following her son's victory, Margaret began using the title My Lady the King's Mother, and was granted permission to act as a femme sole. Alongside exerting influence at the court of her son King Henry VII, Margaret was incredibly pious and supported educational institutions. Margaret is responsible for the foundation of St. John's College at Cambridge. Margaret ended up outliving her son Henry VII just long enough to witness the coronation of her grandson King Henry VIII, dying on the 29th of June 1509. If you enjoyed this video, I will see you next time.